What's up? What's up, y'all? I'm getting the stream together. Hey, guys, are coming in. Just let me know where you guys are coming from. I just wanted to give a real quick final breakdown prediction. I am in New York, so you guys can ask me whatever questions you guys feel like. I'm gonna give it like a couple more minutes right before I get this going. But shout out to Trey. You are first. What up, Co-Reacts? What up, John, Wally, Trey, Freddie G? What's up, man? What's up, Muhammad? What up, Face of Boxing TV? What's up, everyone that's coming in early, man? Want to do a really quick, easy stream before I head out to the Barclays Arena. So yeah, I see a lot of you guys. What up, Superman? You from Jersey? That's what's up, man. All right, cool. I'm gonna just cut this long starting stream intro and get straight into it, y'all, because we got a lot to unpack in just a short amount of time. So, all right, y'all, what's going on? It's your boy Ron, good over at FightHype.com. I'm chilling at a nice little coffee cafe. I had to stop by and want to just wrap with you guys before I take the time to go out to the Barclays Arena. It's been a very interesting fight week. I'm sure you guys seen the Gervonta Tank scrum. It was about an hour long. He said a lot of stuff, and I'm really interested in this fight. So before I get into my whole entire breakdown, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask. I'm gonna shout everybody out and go through. Co-Reacts TV says if he goes 12 rounds with Tank, he's official. I agree. I mean, nobody goes 12 with Tank minus Pitbull, and Tank was injured in that fight. So Trey says Tank by KO 8th and ninth. What up, John? Boy says he's second. Wally says 8 round Tank is giving them that night quill. Okay, he's not going 12. Let's be real. Let's be real. He's not Cruz. Okay, 6 round knockout. All right. I see a lot of you guys are not giving Roach an opportunity to make it to the distance, which is understandable. Tank is a knockout artist. He practically knocked everybody out. What time is the main event? Tank versus Roach, please could anyone verify? So I'm out here at the Barclays, like probably like they're like 15 minutes away from the Barclays Center, right? So the main portion, let me pull up the card, all right? There's gonna be a couple fights on the undercard on the main portion. Let me see. Devontae. I got the bout sheet. Give me 1 second. Uh, all subject to change. All right, Devontae Davis. I mean, I'm only gonna assume, right? I'm not. It's on the East Coast, so it's probably gonna start around anywhere 11 to 12 Eastern time. All right, that's typically how these fights usually go. So 9 times out of 10 is gonna be late. So if Roach is everything people think he's not, then he's a real threat at 130, 135. What up, man? What's going on? He's not going 12. All right, so I see a lot of guys. Everyone's saying that Roach is not going the distance. Does anyone have Roach winning the fight? Does anyone even give Roach an opportunity to even make it to this 7 and 8? Gets the smelling sauce out. Yo, blessings from Tampa. Tank by 7. It's good. What's up from? Oh, you're from Netherlands? That's what's up, man. What's up, Melvin? Yo, too much respect between the two. It's going the distance. What up, Lit Reactions? What up, D? Tank and 6. So I'm seeing a lot of 6, 7, and 8s. That's what everyone's saying, right? Um, this is the one thing I wanted to break down about this fight, right? I think there's a few things you have to look into this whole entire storyline, right? Tank is working with a whole new different team, right? And it's not a team that he's not familiar with, right? It's a team that he grew up with. It's a team that he has had in the corner throughout a couple fights. But this is a fight where we're going to see what a full camp of Barry and Gervonta, right? Out in DC, right? This is an officially a Tank fight with a whole new team that he's not familiar with, but a whole new team that he's going to try out. All right, Calvin, Kenny, they're there to support. They're there to work things out. But this was a camp where Calvin was able to sit back, Kenny was able to sit back and go let a whole new team take control of that. And it's either going to work really well, it's not going to change anything, or you're going to see some problems. And that team is very familiar with Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach has definitely went into the Headbangers gym. He's notoriously known for beating the shit out of a lot of people out in the DC area. He's been knocking a lot of people out and sparring for this camp. So I'm definitely expecting a really technical fight. Not saying that Tink doesn't get an opportunity to hurt Roach and get him out. Not saying that. But what I'm saying is this fight might be a lot more technical and it might be more of a boxing match than what people might not think, right? I've been watching some of his older fights, the previous fight he just did, and Hector Garcia. He's fought some southpaws, right? He just recently just fought some southpaws. And some of the success he has is actually with that lead hook. You know, he's really good at jabbing. You know, he's orthodox. He'll jab and he'll go stab jab to the body. He'll throw, his shot right to the setup, and he'll come over the top with a lead hook. He dropped his last two opponents with a lead hook. And to be honest with you, Tank's gonna have to work his way to kind of set up to get away from that shot because this the punch that's closest to him, you know, and that lead hook is going to be a weapon that Roach is going to use throughout this fight. Um, One thing that Roach does that it's going to be really bad if he does, he definitely reaches with the right hand. You know, and Tank's an amazing counter puncher. We've seen Tank with dodge come up, boom. So watching his media workout, watching his fights, watching a lot of the things that he has been doing to get to this point tells me he can box, man. He disguises his lead hook really well. You know, he'll jab, jab, he'll go to the body, but immediately, right when he notices your hand goes down, he'll come right over the top with a lead hook. His right hand can't put him in bad positions, right? So I know a lot of people have been very critical. I'm seeing, let me get to some of the chat. Um, what up, my boy? What up, Naj? What's up, man? Y'all, you know what I mean? We had our talks, you know what I mean? Twitterverse has been talking a little bit, but, you know, obviously, if you guys don't know about Naj right here, man, he's been killing the game, man. So if you haven't seen Terrence's last interview, I mean, I don't know what you're doing, all right? So, he's obviously did Lamont Roach. He's done a lot of great things. He's done Keyshawn 24 hours. So definitely, please, if you guys been living in for Rock, Fight Hype family, please take some time to go check out my boy Naj over there. He's putting a lot of grind, a lot of effort. So, and I appreciate the love that he always gives back. Also, my boy Jay right here. You know, he was a contributor also over here at Fight Hype. So he'll be in the fight night. So but and he also had a great meet and greet yesterday. So, but enough of all that. Let me get with the chat, see what some of you guys think. To be honest, if Roach goes there in there, how he went in there with Hector Garcia and sticks his neck out, I won't be surprised if Tank sleeps him in six. Yeah, Roach's defense is going to have to be on point because one thing I don't like that what Roach does, he does the shoulder roll, which is good, right? And he's able to, flip. But one thing he definitely does is he also rolls inward. And, people have been criticizing his footwork, saying that he's slow, his footwork's not there. The worst thing you need to do is to have bad footwork and put yourself in a position where you are completely immobile and turning into your shot. I mean, rolling in, there's no way that you can really purely escape. You've seen the Floyd Mayweather shoulder roll, turn, and then turn around on the outside. But if you turn your head in the inside, you have to now rely on the ability to turn yourself back out and then roll from the punches. So Lamont does that. Lamont does that. And you don't really want to be in a position where Tank can definitely capitalize on that. So these are all little things I've noticed he's done in his last couple fights, good and bad. But that lead hook, I'm telling you, that lead hook is going to be something where you're probably going to get Tank a little bit in the early rounds, and you're going to see Tank make adjustments. He also has a good uppercut, which we all know throwing uppercuts is one of the most dangerous punches, right? But he has a great uppercut. He throws that right uppercut pretty often, and he likes to go to the body, and he has a really great left hook. Good jab. So you're going to see Tank think in this fight. This is a fight where you're going to see maybe more skills from Tank to come out. We may not get credit for it because Lamont's coming from 130 to 135, but I think this fight's going to have a lot of technical things that Tank is going to do that you may have not been able to see in his other opponents because they're typically come forward fighters, right? They come forward, they're going to come at him, and Tank's on his back foot 9 times out of 10. Or you got a guy where Frank Martin was trying to box, and Tank put the pressure, high guard, and just walked him down. I don't think it's going to be that. I think you're going to see Tank actually box someone in the middle rounds, and you're going to see technical boxing. So And it's good because a lot of the opponents everyone wants Tanks to fight are highly technical fighters and that. So this is a great approach. And, Lamont's very confident. Um, Tank's going 12, it says. Does anyone know what time is main? It's gonna be a little bit later. Main event probably around midnight, yeah. What's up, Never Fold? What's up, man? What up, Jay? Thanks, bro. Unlaced respect. Tank is in 6 or 7. Shakur is next. Hopefully he don't blame pillow hands. What's very interesting is that I've been kind of getting some word that you know, not saying that he's officially going to be here at the fight, but with all the news of everything about Devin and Rolly and Ryan and all the fights, in New York, something's going to happen pretty soon in New York, right? So Turkey's going to come to New York. Does that stuff happen? Does a press conference or all those type of things happen as soon as next week or so? But it only makes sense. And if they made the announcement, Turkey might be coming to this tank fight. And because of that, if Turkey comes to this tank fight, he's going to try to work some magic. So it'll be really interesting. I'll be at the fight, so definitely keep an eye out to see if the Sheik is going to be there, right? Um, Boxing only takes one good hit. Yeah, and I think Lamont has a good sneaky power shot. It doesn't really look like he has the devastating knockout punch that Tank does, but I think it's a punch that keeps people honest. Respectful, honest punching power. And I don't think Tank's just gonna walk in. And I don't think Tank ever really walks into a guy unless he doesn't really respect his power. I think Tank has mentioned throughout this build-up fight week that he's respects his power. Is very sneaky, very deceptive. And so that's why I think this fight's gonna be a lot more technical. I got to go in 12. A lot of people is either saying that it gets knocked out 6 or 7 or is going to go 12. So I think that speaks a lot. Even if he goes 11, 10, right? And it's very competitive. Even if Tank is winning the fight, but Roach is in there and he's still kind of catching Tank throughout and having moments, I think Roach is going to get a lot of respect in this fight. I've been ducking the live streams. I've been in New York, bro. I've been out here covering the fight week. So, you know, the first fight officially I think starts at 6. They'll let us in the Barclays Center around 4. So Keenan says, "Bruh, Tank over everyone." Also on top of it, the undercard is pretty interesting. You got Rayo Venezuela and Gary Russell, which Gary's been really calm and Rayo seems extremely confident. Some people I've been talking with the media might feel that maybe a little too overconfident, but who knows? I mean, every champion is going to feel what's considered overconfident, but Gary Russell is going to present a completely different problem than Isak Cruz. I know that people think Gary Russell is like a Sean Porter, similar style. He's going to come forward, be aggressive. But keep in mind, Pitbull was a 135 pounder that came up at 140. Ryo is bigger, has a longer reach. Gary is more of Ryo's size. And he's been mentioned a lot throughout media that, he's going to be a lot more technical. He's going to go back to the basics. He's going to be more fundamentally sound. And bear with me. He's gonna try to do different things that he took for granted in the Alberto Puello fight. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gary gave Ryo a very tough fight, and I think Ryo has shown vulnerability in the Pitbull fight at moments and clearly the De Los Santos fight. So it's not saying that he can't get hurt and can't get hurt, can't lose. So and Gary can get frustrated. We've seen him over time progressively throughout each step up had tougher fights. And his performances have been kind of in a way where it didn't look as dominating as before. So that's a really good fight. So the co-main is a really good fight, and Alberto Pollo and Sam Dar Martin. Really, at the end of the day, you got two guys that are high level chess boxers. The guy who beat Garrett Antoine Russell, and the guy who arguably beat Teofimo Lopez. So they're fighting for a strap, and then Yoenis Tellis and versus J Rock, which I think I saw someone here said J Rock is like a minus 800, which is I know it's in a sense very disrespectful. A lot of people feel right that a unified former 154 pounder. I mean, like guys, he took on Jerry Hurd, right? He's throwing the guy. But then he lost to Jason Rosario, he lost to Vladimir Hernandez, and then kind of his career has been kind of up and down. So Yoenis Tellez is a guy who's been trained by Ronnie Shields. And I had a probably like a 3 hour conversation with Ronnie Shields last night. And he's the guy that trained David Morrell. Yoenis Tellez is a Cuban fighter who's just like David Morrell, who doesn't really prioritize on defense, but wants to put a lot of effort on entertaining the fans, very offensive minded. He can punch. He knocked out Sergio Martinez, the guy who gave a lot of people tough fights. And in that, he knocked him in a couple rounds on the Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fight. So really, I don't see why J Rock is not the underdog. But there's a huge opportunity. There's a huge step up for Yoenis Tellez. But if he gets through J Rock very easy and dispatches him, guys, that guy's a huge problem at 154. And I might start to favor him over Bachman, the guy that knocked out Tim Tszyu. So my boy Jay says that he thinks the fight goes the distance. Okay, I see a lot of people thinking Roach is gonna go the distance. We can go either way, but Tank is a beast. People not realizing Roach is very familiar with Tank, and he knows about his power, so he's going to be a good fight. Tank doesn't have that fire for this fight. I wouldn't say he has that fire. I think what he is he's coming in here with a mutual respect, and it's not games. It's not something that he's needing to build up or hype. You know, the way that this fight came together, that Tank came to Roach and was like, his team and I'm like, hey, would you guys like to make a fight? So it, it was um it was a mutual thing to get this fight together. Very competitive. They fought two times in amateurs, but I think there's an understanding that, DC, Baltimore, there's a rivalry, they're familiar with each other. Um, with all the fighters going over to Saudi Arabia, you know, and Tank really is kind of like a 130, 135 pounder. He made weight at 133, if I'm not mistaken. So, he's really fighting a guy that's his size, if not bigger. So he's really fighting around his weight. I know he doesn't have the marquee name, and I know there's Shakur Stevenson out there, the Keyshawn Davis, but at the end of the day, I mean, Roach is a 135, a 130 pound champion who just beat Hector Garcia, a guy that Tank also fought and beat. So, um, so really, for the most part, storyline it makes sense. They both dropped Hector Garcia. Well, one dropped Hector Garcia, the other one stopped Hector Garcia. So this won't be any different from the rest. It's not that deep. I'm not saying that I'm not picking Tank, all right? But what I'm looking at is what he's trying to get out of this fight, all right? He's obviously taken a more technical fight than I think a lot of people aren't going to give credit for. Um, people is claiming this is a tune-up. I don't think it's a tune-up. I think it's a fight where he's going to rely a lot more on his skills versus having to just high guard walk somebody down or be on his back foot waiting for a guy to overswing and then he counters like a Ryan Garcia, overly aggressive, or like Rolly did, being way overly aggressive. I think it's a fight where he's going to set up, he's going to be in the middle, and he's going to try some new things. He's going to know that there's a guy that's not going to take ridiculous shots. He's going to be on a defensive side as well as countering. And that lead hook, I'm telling you guys, Roach has a good lead hook. When you watch the fight, don't be surprised that Roach lands that consistently and maybe a little comfortably, right? But that's when Tank makes the adjustment. And then that's when you start to see Tank slowly take over. And I think that's when Tank, his creativity starts to overwhelm Roach. And I believe that these guys are going to start pulling a lot of tricks out their bag. And I think Tank is going to have like a utensil on this side next to his tool bag over here and a backpack. And um, he's going to have a little bit more arsenal and he's going to have a better backpack of things and gadgets, right? He's going to be more like Batman in this situation. While like, fuck it. Maybe Roach is like Batman and Tank is like Iron Man, like because he has that superpower shot, right? So trust me, I think when Tank takes over, I think it's going to be extremely comfortable. But I think going through that process, you're going to see him take his time and start to overcome some of the stuff that Roach throws at him. He's definitely familiar with what you're talking about. Won't make a difference. Some people say Roach is slow, and he'll get slower as the round progresses. Fair assessment. You know, I think Kenny mentioned something that it looks like he has a foot dragging in mud. And to be honest, at the end of the day, I haven't talked about that. I mean, I think Roach's footwork probably doesn't look that great, and you're gonna need some footwork against Tank. So if he can't really get away from Tank, I didn't know. Listen, real quick. I can pull my hair. Listen, y'all. Listen, this I could pull my hair back down. I just have it tied up. The only difference is I have the side shade. So you know what's crazy though? Some of the people were like, "Yo, you look like a raggedy dude that just woke up from a nap." And then now some dudes are like, "Yo, man, you cut your shit, man. That's your signature. It's still there. I just got it tied up." Roach is a good fighter. He got something in the bag. My man Caps is not this one, buddy. Ain't got a duffel bag though. He definitely has. That's a better analogy. He has a duffel bag. After watching Heron fight again last night, not impressed. Cool work, but below impressive. And I know a lot of people who have kind of looked at the Heron fight, which, I think people might not give Heron a lot of credit. I actually thought Heron was going to lose to Carl Frampton, but, you know, Heron went and demolished him. I thought Heron was going to um, not have moments in the Shakur Stevenson fight, which the core dominated, but he had a good round or two. And really, at the end of the day, I think we can't just base people on their performances from back in the day because we can say the same. Like, I didn't think Tank looked that amazing in the Gamboa fight. You know what I mean? I didn't think he looked great at what he fought on the Mayweather McGregor card, right? Wait, what was the fight? Hold on, Gervonta Davis. I didn't think Tank looked great against Fonseca, right? I didn't think he looked great in Fonseca. I didn't think he looked amazing in the Gamboa fight. And low key, he was getting touched up in that Leo Santa Cruz fight, which Leo Santa Cruz is a great fighter, four division world champion, and he was down on the cars and Mario Bar. Like, really, at the end of the day, I think this idea that Tank just completely runs people over is not true. I think when he finally gets comfortable and he finally gets in a zone, I think that's when you start to realize how much of an adjustment he can make and how much his opponent is unable to match that. Like, he makes steady adjustments, but when he finally is in control, it is dominant. But when you watch Tank's fights, it's always in the beginning where he kind of has some adversity. He definitely has some sort of figuring out that he needs to do. Even with Rolly, a lot of people have criticized Rolly for not being technical, but Tank took his time. He didn't blitz him right away. To be honest, there was a couple rounds Rolly was outboxing Tank, but Tank was very patient, and he had to figure out his timing, his rhythm, his pattern, his everything. And when he finally realized he was overcommitting, all it took was one shot. So trust me, I think that there is a great opportunity for this to be a very fun fight early on. And Tank's going to later make those right adjustments. And then that's when you're going to start realizing how much Tank is able to then dominate versus just coming out the gate and just dominating off the first round. I just think that's just very unrealistic. I don't think that's how Tank fights. Floyd don't fight that way. Bud don't fight that way. Tank don't fight that way. Those guys are all great fighters, kind of a slow starter because what they do is they take their time. They understand the guy's fresh. They're a threat. There's a lot of things that they're capable of doing. They're not overlooking their opponent. They realize how much they've done to get to this point, and what they're doing is to beat them. They're going to systematically figure them out versus just rely on their God gifted ability or the athleticism or the thing that everyone thinks they are. Like, it's just way too much. I think Tank is more than just a one punch fighter. I think this is why a lot of times when people pin Tank against other fighters like Shakur or Keyshawn, that immediately be like, oh, he's gonna get completely outboxed, or it's just Tank's a one puncher. He's not. He's not. He's a very fundamentally sound technical fighter. When he finally does get an opportunity to take over, it's night and day at that point, and it's almost so drastic. that it becomes like a one shot. It becomes a one side kill, right? His counters are all set up, they're all baited, and they're all conditioned, right? This is what like Tank really does, all right? I think um, Tank is a guy who will take his time to condition you to do something that makes you feel comfortable, and then he takes you out. The trap, right? $5 super chat, my boy Matt. Hold on, let me get to this. Awesome. Yo, I appreciate the super chat. I'm gonna get to the rest of the chat. Priority is the super chat first. My boy Matt always showing love. Do you think Tank has to win this fight tonight to maintain the health of pay-per-view sales in the boxing industry aside from Canelo pay-per-view sales? I think that's a great I think that's a great question because a lot of fights are going to Saudi Arabia, and I know that he's bringing fights here in the U.S., but the the health of American boxing, right? American boxing really is kind of the industry standard. And then you got the UK over there. But really, I think the American boxing, if it thrives here, it thrives everywhere. It doesn't really work that way other places. If it thrives in another country, it might just be that country, right? If it does well in the UK, doesn't mean it's going to do well in the US. Nine times out of 10, a major American fight, and it doesn't have to do with American fighters, but like a Canelo versus Triple G, that was successful across the board, all right? I think the market definitely needs a healthy American pay-per-view system. And with Tank winning the fight, and if he continues to create interesting fights, or the fights at least the casual boxing fans are willing to spend, it keeps American boxing fine, right? Canelo fighting over Saudi Arabia 3 out of 4 times doesn't really keep that tradition alive unless like other guys like David Benavidez gets healthy competition and maintains that culture, right? American boxing culture needs to exist. And Tank is really one of those guys that creates that. One of the last guys that's here. And even some of the guys that did go over there, and there's no disrespect to them, the great fighters. I think someone told me like A level fighters, C B- names. And that's what you need in boxing. You need A names. At the end of the day, you need fighters that have A names, regardless of their skill set. And the beautiful thing is if they're A names and A fighters fighting other A names and A fighters, that's the perfect storm. But we can't have A fighters with C level names coexisting in the sport without other A names fighting each other. So I really do think that Tank does need to win to maintain the health of American boxing. I know that the world is bigger than just America, but really at the end of the day, I think that cracking the American market was something that everyone always wanted to do. Matchroom, Frank Warren when he came over here with Prince Nassim, Joe Calzaghe had to come here and fight Roy Jones and Bernard Hopkins, Lennox Lewis. Like the list goes on. Even Inoue is about to fight in May, right? And he has a dominant Japanese market for the most part. But really, it really needs to have some sort of success in America. And Tank's one of those guys that will probably keep that alive if he wins tonight. I actually think Davis will call out Shakur Stevens tonight with a win. Do you agree? Yo, another $5 super chat. Appreciate it. It paid for my matcha out here at the cafe while I'm waiting to go to the Barclays Arena. Um, you know, I wouldn't put it past that Tank does something drastic tonight because he's been hitting it since the first press conference that he's going to call someone out. And there's been a lot of rumors that Turkey's out in New York. Um, it's very rare. Tank doesn't really need to call anybody out. He's been saying he is. So I'm gonna take his word. He's been telling all of us at the media workouts and the press conference and all that stuff that he's going to call somebody out. So is it gonna be a Jake Paul? Is it gonna be a Shakur? Would it be Keyshawn? Because he's not the guy that signed the Saudi and Turkey, right? Um, dare I say he calls somebody out that it's very underwhelming. But really, I don't think it's going to be something underwhelming. I think it's going to be something very interesting. Um, it might be Lomachenko, which is probably not like something that I don't even think so because he understands that Loma's not ducking him. Like he mentions that he doesn't think Loma's ducking him. So to call out Lomachenko, I don't know. I don't really think so too. So he might call maybe Devin Ryan winner. I don't know, but he's been saying he wants a Ryan rematch. I really don't know, guys. I really don't know. I'll be just as shocked um, because he don't call nobody out. So, but we'll see. But I appreciate those super chats, man. That's big. You know, thanks for supporting the stream as always. JR says prelims are going to be some good fights. I agree. Um, they're definitely familiar with each other, but that was years since they teamed. They were amateurs, but they have sparred any since. No, Jose, they haven't sparred ever since. I was talking to Lamont's brother a couple weeks ago, and they have the sparring tapes, but they were kids. So the whole amateur sparring stuff is good to a certain level until you realize that these guys didn't spar or fight each other as adults, you know? Um, so a lot has changed for both of them. You know, they're men now, they're in their 30s, they have kids. It's a completely different ballpark now. Prelim stuff are going to be popping. Yeah, I think the prelims is being slept on a little bit. It's not the notable names that people were talking about the fight of the century, but I do think that there's a lot of action. I think that if you're a boxing fan, there's no way you're not going to want to watch Alberto Puello versus Sandor Martin. There's no way you're not going to watch Ryan Venezuela versus Gary Antoine Russell. You know, there ain't no way that you're not going to want to check out this Yoenis Tellis guy fight J Rock, this Cuban fighter who's like 9-0, right? So I think it's a worthy card. And I think that, you know, it's subjective if you want to pay money for it or whatnot. But that's King Davis, one of the biggest names in boxing. So Tank uppercut. That's what you're calling. Roach is finna get stepped on. Facts. I bet 20 million on Tank. Easy money. 20 million? Yeah, I got Turkey in my chat. Um, reason being Tank has damn near went Super Saiyan since then. Just saying. Yeah, I mean Tank has gotten a lot better. You know what I mean? I think both have gotten a lot better. I think Tank is definitely the favorable guy by a reasonable landslide. I'm not disagreeing with that. I just think the fight when it comes out might be a lot more competitive than what people think. Tank dropped him twice. Tank's winning. Roach opens too much, and you never felt a power shot like you would today. Today would be his hardest chance, making him better for his next fight. I I agree, especially when he throws his right hand. He's so open. It's kind of terrifying when he throws the right hand. And his last opponent caught him reaching. Hector Garcia caught him reaching. So I really think that Roach needs to be careful when he throws his shots. He is a risk taker for sure, but I think his best shots is that lead left hook. um, I think Tank definitely needs to be aware of fighting him because it's going to be orthodox versus southpaw. And Tank's a southpaw, so he's going to be trying to line up that left. And while he's trying to pursue a shot, Roach's lead hand is going to be the closest to his face, so that lead shot is going to be able to catch Tank a lot more often and a lot more, conveniently. And he had a great lead hook, so I'm saying don't be surprised that Roach get a couple good lead hooks on him. You know what I mean? While Tank is trying to set up a pace and a rhythm for the fight. So, hey, what's up, my guy too in the building? What's up? This is my brother from another mother, man. This is like a personal best friend. Like this is legit one of my closest friends. So to be in the stream, man, I'm honored you took the time, man. I appreciate you really coming in, man. That's my brother. Like, it's my mom and dad. Like on some Shakur, Keyshawn Davis stuff. Like I would never if if he was like Shakur, I'm Keisha, I would never fight my brother too. Like that's what it is. I don't care. We don't have to be undisputed. So that's my guy. 1,000%. Um, I got pockets. I got a pocket full of sunshine. My man came in here with the gorillas. Wally, what's up, man? When you ever seen Tank wobble legs? Roach don't hit hard enough. Tank has a great chin. I think Tank's chin is completely underrated, and I think that's what keeps him in a lot of these fights, for sure. Um, going Tank full 12, plus 4 is 60. What up, Pugilism? What's up, man? Damn, I see a lot of people saying this fight's probably gonna go to distance, man. Uh, yes, Tank's gonna walk him down and let him wind himself. He has a huge. Um, there's a high chance of him doing that. He overwhelms his fighters for sure. You know, he definitely, if he's not winning the boxing match, he's gonna walk you down and turn it into a fight. And I always felt that if there's any time where if you're outboxing them for 6 or more rounds, it's going to become a kill get killed fight. Like if you watch Chavez versus Medrick Taylor, Tank is Tank comes from the Chavez claw, where he will beat you up even if he's losing the fight. Even if Tank is losing a fight, he will beat you up. So by the time the 12th round comes, you're so beaten up that all you need to do is survive, right? And you can survive the fight, you win. But what did Chavez do in the Medrick Taylor fight? Dropped him in the last 10 seconds. So, like, Tank, in my opinion, if things don't go his way, he will high guard and walk you down. Unless he doesn't respect you. And then from the first round, high guard, walk you down from the beginning, which he kind of did with Frank Martin, right? So, and a lot of fights do get over one with that. So, another $5 super chat, my boy Matt. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to get through the chat, but damn, dude, my boy Matt Stone, Matt super chat. So I got to get through these. So they take priority, like they take priority. And I see everyone chatting. I'm gonna get to them, but Matt gets priority out of all this stuff. So I think I read this earlier, right? Hold on, let me make sure. My boy Matt threw a lot. All right. Do you think? Okay, cool, cool. All right. This is his. We got two of them. I just want to counter argue that those saying that he won't get paid to fight Shakur, he will minimum get 50 million for that fight, no question. I mean, I can't really speak on his purse, but I definitely can say that Turkey's gonna have to pay him handsomely. He's gonna have to give him like an offer, kind of like how he convinced Canelo. He's gonna have to because really, at the end of the day, let's keep it a buck. Tank ain't going over there for some little money. And Tink has a lot of American pride too. He takes pride of knowing that he makes money where he sells. And he feels like guys who are making that type of money over there aren't going to be able to make that money here. So they have to go there. He feels that he doesn't need to go there. He feels like there's a lot of things he probably want to do. He doesn't like that obligation to do things. So he feels, look, if you're gonna put me in some sort of situation I don't want to do, you're gonna have to pay me. He made a joke that he felt like it looks like a cult in Saudi Arabia. And I'm not saying that to make fun, I'm just quoting him. That's how he feels. He feels like it looks like a cult. So, it's gonna be a lot of money and a lot of convincing to get Tank over there. Especially how when I asked him, 2 days ago, what his thoughts about it, he was like, look, a lot of fighters are getting sick over there. He also feels like there's some weird stuff going over there when Turkey went over to Hamza Shiraz in the Carlos Adames fight when he was like, look, you're down 2 rounds. Like he sees all that stuff and he brought it up. So, yeah, Tank is, Tank ain't really loving the situation over there. So I would agree with you, Matt, 1,000%. And then Matt also threw another $5 super chat. I think people forget that Lamont Roach has wobbled every opponent he's faced as well. Not stop, but hurt. So he could hurt Tank. Yeah, I think people fail to realize that the Herring fight, even though he did lose the fight, he has completely recognized that his situation of being a slow starter was the reason why he lost the fight. Because the second half he was kind of dominating, and he did hurt Herring. So Tank has told me that he has sneaky deceptive power. So Tank's aware. Like this is coming out of Tank's mouth. You don't have to defend Tank. I know a lot of people have been kind of mentioning, oh, he's just only trying to say that to sell the fight. I think he's being genuine. Right? I've been interviewing Tank for years now. I can tell when Tank is being genuine and when I think Tank is like I don't even think Tank is the type of person who really goes out his way to big of his opponent to sell. That's like not his thing to be like, oh, this guy's amazing. He kind of is the guy who kind of tears down his opponent a little bit when he fights them. Like, Rolly, you're trash, Ryan, he kind of goes about it that way. So for him to comfortably come in and be like, yo, I'm gonna build him up so he looks good. No, I think he's a guy who genuinely speaks his honest opinion, and I think he believes that he has power, deceptive power. Now, if you think he's um, gonna carry him, maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe after he gets to a certain position where he feels his rhythm, his timing is maybe, right? But either here or there, Tank definitely trained for this fight. And I'm really actually interested. I'm interested to see how the whole camp went with Barry, because he did a whole camp with a completely different team that he's familiar with. But Coach Calvin and Kenny wasn't really hands on as much. So let me see. $5 super chat for nutrition is life. And like I said, y'all, I'm gonna get through the chat, but super chats take priority. So I'm gonna get to those because they pay to get in front. And I really appreciate, because really at the end of the day, you guys are also paying to support. Like, I'm out here in New York. I'm gonna be at the Barclays Center like in a few hours. So really at the end of the day, you guys for sure. My boy said the knee pads are on for Tinky Tank today. I see you, Joy. But anyways, let me read nutrition. Sorry, but I don't think I'll pay $80 to watch Tank chase Shakur all night to make him open up and entertain him. You know, I don't think Shakur would be a guy that would be running from Tank. I think Shakur would be a guy who would, I don't know, man. You know what? I could see that happening too, right? Because his hands kind of hurt. He's very defensive minded, and we've seen him kind of have anticlimactic fights against punchers. Um, and Tank's the biggest puncher of them all. So, but I've seen Shakur spar. I've been in his camp. I know him as a type of person. I just don't see him not wanting to stand in front of Tank at times and get some respect. Now, would it be the smartest thing to do? No. He's aware of it. I think he's going to rely on his defensive skills to win the fight. But I think somewhere along the line, I know it's a cat and mouse fight. I think that Shakur is going to have to be forced into a fight against Tank. And I think the fight will break out somewhere in the middle rounds. I don't think the fight will drag on to 7, 8, 9 until, you know, um, Tank finally gets him to be slowing down and then by all means knocks him out if that happens. I think the fight's going to be a lot of drama in the middle rounds, personally. I think Shakur would definitely be forced in a position faster than you guys think. And I think Shakur will also be a guy who wants to even test his ability to hang in the middle. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. But $80 is a lot, but that is a fight that we all gotta watch though, bro. Tank and Shakur, come on, man. Your whole tune would change if they were fighting each other, and so all right. And I really appreciate the super chats. I'm gonna catch up with a few more of the chat. Um, let me make sure. I have to plug my phone in really quick. Make sure I'm on the hot spot right now. But I want to get to the rest of the chat and get you guys involved. I see all you guys speaking in there. I'm not ignoring. Like I said, I'm just getting to the super chats first. I'm probably gonna bounce around in the chat because there's so much that if I read every single one of them, I'm not gonna be able to keep up. So if I don't read a particular chat of yours, please don't take offense. Maybe just contribute to the chat and the updated portion of it, and then I'll get to it. So. But let me bounce around a little bit. Pugilism says, too wide and Tank's favorite can't discredit Roach like that. Roach is the regional rival and knows how Tank fights. Bookies cutting loose losses, manipulating with those wide odds. Roach not getting knocked out. I mean, it's hard for me to say that Roach ain't getting knocked out, right? It's like who hasn't? Who's proven that they can go the distance outside Pitbull when Tank didn't have two healthy hands, right? So it's really hard to really honestly think that Roach won't make it through. But I think Roach is a lot better than what people say, right? Oh yeah, Matias fights today too. I think Matias has a better chance of going the distance today before Tank does. I agree. I think I heard he's in a good fight. Per Keyshawn winner gets Tank. They'll never fight each other. They'll never fight each other. Pitbull went with 12 with Tank. Roach is more capable of going 12. Skill wise, I could see it. I could see it. But remember, like I said, Tank had an injured hand. I was at that fight. I did notice that over a certain point in time. Um, Joyce says y'all don't talk skills when talking about Tank noted. Everyone has power. For sure, everyone has power to keep people honest. But you have to land it first. You're gonna have to land it consistent, and you're gonna have to be able to land it in a way where it's effective. So, per Roach can't take that power after 4 rounds. That's if Tank consistently hits him. You know, like when did Tank get Roach? I mean Hector Garcia out. Hear me out, guys. We gotta keep it honest, right? All this Tank gets killed. I mean Roach gets killed in like a couple rounds. You know, I've seen people say 7 and 8. I'm not talking about you guys, right? Because you guys are clearly understanding the pattern. Leo Santa Cruz went 6. Mara Bars went 11. Pitbull obviously went 12. Rolly went 6. Hector Luis Garcia went 9. Ryan went 7. Frank Martin went 8. So let's keep it real. There's a very high chance that Roach goes past 4, 5, 6, right? I'm not saying that's what you said, Zez. You said he can't take his power after the fourth. But I'm just saying, like, I think the fight will probably last a lot longer than what people are expecting or thinking, right? Um, Tink's finna have Roach lane like Peter Griffin. Y'all are wild, man. Um, there is pre-existing awareness. Yeah, right, Trey. Pitbull and 12 Tink had an injury hit. Major says there's a pre-existing awareness of familiarity with styles and tendencies that can influence the fight. The shared past can eliminate elements, surprise, and potentially give Roach a mental edge. Listen, guys, and I'm not saying like I'm putting on the same trajectory because every fight is different, right? I'm just trying to just put a theory in your head. Devin and Ryan fought each other 6 times in the amateurs. Clearly, you know, Roach and Tank fought twice in amateurs, but they sparred a lot. Devin and Ryan fought 6 times in amateurs. They went 3-3. A lot of people, myself included. And I know there's the whole failed drug test and stuff. I'm not wanting to get into that part, right? I'm just trying to just say, in hindsight now, I think we all can agree that Devin and Ryan, regardless of the failed drug test, Ryan would have had moments regardless. He's familiar with Devin. There's some sort of style that Devin brings to Ryan that he's seen so many times that is almost insane to think that Ryan won't be familiar at any moment of the time. It's not like they sparred 6 times, I mean, fought 6 times in amateurs and Devin knocked him out or Ryan knocked him out. It was like, there's, and from the amateurs, I know they were younger. Same case with Ryan Devin, they were younger. Roach and Tank had a competitive amateur fight. So you can't say that they fought in the back doesn't have some sort of ability to sway the outcome. We saw it with Devin and Ryan. And I think Roach comes into this fight with a confidence that other fighters don't really have. I've been to other fights where Tank kind of intimidated the opponent a little bit and kind of had them a little bit of little shook to a little degree. You kind of felt it a little bit. I'm telling you, Roach just seems so calm, cool, collective. I know it has nothing to do with the fight, but I'm just saying, based off of the opponents that I've seen him with Tank, there is some sort of intimidation factor. And there's also a level of respect that I've seen Tank give Roach that I haven't really seen him give other fighters. He plays the bully mentality. And he did a little bit of that weigh-in, but it was clearly not in a way where I think it was the punk Roach. I think it was like, hey, I'm trying to make weight, may weight. You're the guy that made me suffer. I'm gonna fuck you up tomorrow, right? And he's getting in the fight mode, like he's coming in there like in his mind going, "You're trying to take everything I worked really hard to get here, and I'm not gonna allow that, regardless of whatever how cool we were, whatever the case is. I'm gonna take your head off, right? Kill to be killed." So Roach doesn't keep his guard up enough to get caught. If Roach goes in there like Frank Martin over and using his legs early on, he slows down. It's going to be a sad day. I think Roach may not use his legs as frequent as Frank Martin. Personally, I think Roach is going to be in there a little bit longer, which could be dangerous. Could put him in a position where he can get slept over maybe a little bit earlier. But I'm telling you guys, he has a really good lead left hook. I think that's his best weapon. He's an orthodox fighter with an extremely good lead left hook. And I think that he's going to be able to keep Tank honest in the early rounds a little bit. However, if Roach throws that right hand a little too much, I can see Tank catching him. I'm telling you, if Roach overextends his right hand, the shit is over, quick and done. So um, I see a lot of Gary, Antoine, and Ryo, so I'm gonna switch to that a little bit. I'm gonna pull some of those up because I've been talking about Tank and Roach for a hot minute. I'm gonna read maybe two more of these. Why would he take the power? Roach can box and a bigger guy. Roach just not gonna press tank the force tank to knock him out. I agree. You know. Um, Let me read one that's a little bit more frequent. Roach fights showcase comfortable and calculated backward motion, not a panic retreat. Big difference. I agree, and I think that's why like a lot of boxing guys aren't here to glaze tank and saying, "Oh, we're trying to build his opponent." I think we got like a kind of an underrated fight tonight. I'm not picking Roach, but I think the fight's underrated, and I think a lot of people will leave this fight being Roach fans. Just my honest opinion. Now, I do see a lot of people saying this Gary Antoine Russell and Rayo Venezuela fight is the true main event, right? That's what JM came in and said, the true main event. Um, you know, I think this fight is very interesting because I said it earlier. I talked to a couple of media guys, and they really feel that Rayo's coming here with maybe a little too much confidence. Like, yeah, you came in here and you beat Pitbull, but Pitbull's a smaller guy, coming from 135 up to 140. You have the longer reach. We all can see that if you're a good boxer that can kind of keep Pitbull on the outside with some respectful power, you can win the fight. So, he's fighting a guy that's bigger than Pitbull, a guy who can punch. He's going to be relentless. And I think his boxing ability also is underrated. He doesn't really use it, right? He admits he doesn't really use it. He's coming in this fight with a more humble perspective. I think he came in the Alberto Puello fight too confident, right? It's fair to say that sometimes when a guy comes in a fight with all the attention to hype, the Gary Russell family tutelage, you kind of, and myself included, mine, they kind of been like, Gary might win this fight maybe comfortably. I was at that fight, and Gary got outboxed, so he didn't use his assets properly. He didn't come, he didn't approach the fight intelligently, and so he kind of let certain rounds squeak by, and now he lost. Ryo in this case, I think Ryo's a bigger puncher than Puello. I think Ryo shows he can box and he can bang. So there's a threat that I think he brings that Puello didn't really bring in that fight. So I think Gary kind of went in there, kind of thinking he can rough him up. He knows he can't just rough up Ryo because he knows that there's a puncher on the other side. So he's automatically going to have to fight completely different in this fight. Um, he's had a lot of adversities with other guys. Victor Postal, some older Victor Postal gave him fits. Um, and he's susceptible of getting hit. But I think a moment of clarity, I think he's self-reflected in this fight. A loss does a lot to a fighter. To get a loss and then get back into another title fight is a huge, huge, huge blessing where you're able to take the adjustments you learned and immediately throw it into another world title fight. So he knows this opportunity is almost like his career relies on it. He feels that every fight relies on it, but he knows. He ain't gonna say, but he knows that this fight is do or die for him. And so I think that's a really great fight. My only concern, just like the other, Ryo might come in with an overinflated confidence, but maybe rightfully so. He learned a lot from the De Los Santos fight. Um, we saw what De Los Santos can do. He's a true puncher. He's the guy that made Shakur Stevenson have to be extremely honest. Um, so no fault of that. But Ryo's coming here with a confidence that I've never seen before. Um, so it's either going to be his strength or it's going to be his detriment. I know a lot of times the personal stuff in his life. He had a lot of personal issues as well with Jose Benavidez with the lawsuit, things like that. So he's removed that from his camp. So he might be feeling better. You know what I mean? From some of the stuff that's been irking him, or maybe he's feeling otherwise. Still distracted. I don't know, but I think that's a great main event. I think you guys are all hitting on the nail. You guys asked my honest opinion about who wins the fight. Um, I think I have to favor Ryo, right? I think I have to favor Ryo only because the simple fact that I think he's been a little bit more consistent. Um, I think he's coming in here with the right mindset because he's the one that picked the fight. The fight came to fruition because Ryo said, "I want to fight Gary Antoine Russell." So when a fighter usually picks a fighter or kind of goes in under his league, they typically see something, and I think Ryo is a guy who has power to keep Russell honest, to keep him honest. And I think he had a great corner at Robert Garcia. Robert Garcia was trainer of the year last year. And I think he's in a healthy state. He's happy. Um, so I think I'm gonna have to edge Ryo. Because Gary's gonna come in there with a mindset that, he's coming off of a loss and he's gonna have to show the world that he belongs here. So, and if he gets in a situation when he kind of feels like he's losing a little bit, does he resort back to this frustrated style where he goes after a guy and makes it ugly and doesn't really look that good? Raphael came in and made the great point that, Ryo fought an Asian post, not the one that fought Crawford, or even the one that fought Ramirez years ago, or Josh Taylor. I think at a point we can kind of say that, Russell has his flaws defensively. And I think that Ryo has shown more defensive. Um, he's updated his defense from the De Los Santos fight. So, but I wouldn't put it past if Gary Russell made it a very interesting fight, showed better footwork, patience, poise. He does have a great mind in his corner of his brother Gary. He's physically athletic. The way they train, it's like absolutely rugged, rugged. I mean, they train 24/7 year round. Um, He's always in shape. He has a killer mentality. Like you can't just discourage him right away, but he's human. And I think that that loss is a huge possibility that, you know, doubt can set in for anybody, regardless of how mentally strong you are, because you've been there before. And when you revisit that spot where you're going, man, I'm going to lose another title shot, does Gary actually get through that or he shows absolutely tremendous improvement. It's a style matchup nightmare, and Gary just runs through him. But I just don't see that. I don't see that. I see Ryo having a great jab. Robert Garcia teaching his fighters great jabs, and that's what you need to keep a guy like Gary on the outside. And Ryo has good power. He has great power. And on top of that, you know, um, urban myth. It's not an urban myth. Ryan was dropping Teofimo Lopez and sparring, man. So it's not like he doesn't know how to deal with athletic kind of guys, right? Tough, athletic, um, great amateur background fighters. You know what I mean? Tio went and fought for the Olympics. Gary Antoine Russell beat Jerron Ennis to be on the Olympic team, right? So Ryo was able to be there with these top amateur guys and show great pedigree back in the day. So I wouldn't be surprised that he'd be able to perform very well. Um, so I know there's a lot that I kind of skimmed through because I'm going to be getting ready to head out. Probably in probably like 10 more minutes. So anything that you want to add, just update, just rewrite it in the chat because I'm just going to want to make sure I'm just reading up to date with everything. So just put it in the chat. I'm just going to read the most current ones just to kind of keep the ball rolling. And I appreciate everyone that's also chatting. It's just the circumstance of based on the show today, just me at the coffee shop. Just wanted to make sure I tap in. I didn't do any shows throughout the week. So if there's any questions you want to ask, my atmosphere, recap, how was Tank, how was this guy? Did you see anything? What's the energy like? Feel free to ask. I'll be able to give you my honest opinion. I try to be unbiased, or even if I'm being biased, I'll tell you I'm being a little biased. You can even ask me that. So, um, let's see. Tank versus Roach is gonna be a good scrap. I agree. Ryan got that Robert Garcia magic. I agree. Robert Garcia is a tremendous trainer. I don't like how Ryo screwed Benavidez Senior. I really don't know the story 1,000%. I've heard both sides. I like to stay neutral only because the fact that I really don't know the numbers. Some people feel that Benavidez was robbing Venezuela from his amount, and some people might feel that Benavidez, got Ryo to a certain position. So, and he was trying to get him the tank fight. So, yeah, yes, sir. What up, fast car Eddie Hearn? Always appreciate you jumping in the stream, man. Yeah, Robert Garcia is hard to bet against, man. He's a great trainer. He's one of the legendary trainers of this era, like an Emmanuel Stewart of this era, or Nassim Richardson, or like like you know what I mean. He belongs in that type of, Eddie Futch. Like he's one of those type of trainers, and he puts his heart in. So, I'll share a story that I heard about Robert Garcia just because we're talking about it. Robert Garcia is a really good guy, from an aspect from my understanding. That yeah, trainers get paid, right? Like big fight profile fighters, certain championship fights, they got to get paid, right? But from my understanding, that the guys that are the smaller guys that have a lot of money, up and coming, I heard Robert don't even charge those guys. I heard Robert just trains those guys because he believes in them or whatever the case or wants to work, and he don't even charge those type of guys, knowing that he's putting time and energy in them. He allows them to take that money. I mean, I can't confirm it. It's just what I've heard from a lot of people, in the boxing industry, that Robert does that for a lot of fighters. That he doesn't charge them. So, big ups to Robert for just understanding that, him being a fighter himself, a world champion himself, an IBF champion. Um, hats off to Robert for just being a successful man in the ring, out the ring. Got nothing negative to say about Robert. So, he's a cool guy, man. And he bigs up a lot of fighters. And and I know that a lot of the race thing comes pretty often, Black versus Mexican or whatever the case is. He debunked a lot of things too because his favorite fighter is also Sugar Ray Leonard. What he told me. I got in an interview too. So, his favorite fight of all time was Sugar Ray Leonard. So he recognizes all different cultures and all different type of ethnicities and appreciates all different styles. So definitely give Robert Garcia his flowers. Only one who sees something is Mikey. Yo, I didn't get a chance to run over and ask Mikey questions because I was by Roy Jones. But I really wanted to go and ask Mikey, like, as cliche as it sounds, you saw something in Spence. In hindsight now, Crawford sees something in Canelo. Is there any kind of advice that you can say when it comes to moving up and seeing like a pound for pound fighter? And what would you do differently? And what would you probably advise Bud? Two completely different fighters, right? You know, um, I think Bud's light years above Mikey, but and it's nothing disrespect to Mike. It's just an opinion of who's better. But just wanting to get his actual opinion of his downfall in that fight. Like was it putting on too much weight? Was it because a certain style? I really wanted to understand his moving up two weights and what was obviously outside of size, what he could have done better in that fight, or what he should have done to have a better opportunity. Can't call it when, but Russ was taking it. That's fair. I think that's a good. It's a pick 'em fight, really, in my opinion. Ryan should win, but it'll be a tough fight. There's more money to be made through Ryle than Gary. It was a good fight. It was a good pick 'em fight. Play was way better than Rayo. That was a respectable loss. Play was way better. Okay. And that's fair. You know what I mean? Like, we're kind of in a new division where all these guys are kind of just entering the scene. And I respect that opinion because Puello fought a really good, tough Eastern European fighter who gave Mario Barras a tough fight to get that title. And I think Puello's boxing ability is very, like, underrated, very, like, up there when people give Richardson Hitchens and Devin Haney props. Puello is an amazing boxer, right? But I also feel like Gary might have underestimated that a little bit. And that's just my opinion. So no credit taken away. By far, if Puello beats Sandor Martin, that's a great win, and he's on his resume is looking great, win after win. That's three great wins in a row. So I have nothing negative to say about Puello. I'm just, from my understanding, from just talking to Gary myself, Gary's a very confident guy, and I feel like going into that fight when I spoke to him, might have felt himself a little bit too much. You know what I mean? And it's just nothing wrong with that. You should feel that way. But I think that fight humbled him, and so now I think that there's a different approach going into the fight. But nothing taken away from Puello because at the end of the day, Puello had to deal with a very tough, athletic fighter who's undefeated. Like I said, he beat Duran Ennis to get on the Olympic team. You know what I mean? And as much people, praise Duran Ennis for being this athletic freak of nature and all this and that, Gary was able to beat him in amateurs and shut that Olympic goal down and those dreams away from him. So Gary's a good fighter too. So, to stop someone like that, you have to have skills, and Puello definitely has skills. Um, so no disrespect to Puello. Um, and I respect that comment saying that that was a respectful loss, without a doubt. No shame in losing that belt to a player, not at all. It's not the sexiest name to lose to, but it's not. Um, it's a respectful loss, not a bad loss. Sam said, "Oh, like who cares?" Sandor's going to take that belt tonight. It's going to be interesting, man. Sandor is a very tricky fighter, man. And from my understanding, when Sandor came to America, I think he was rated like number one and number two best Spaniard fighter. I know It don't really matter globally, you know, like he could be ranked number 50 at the time and whatever. But to me, when I look at box right and I see who people fight, if you're fighting a guy that's best in his country, I take that as like regardless a respectful win. Now, if he ranks 99 or 200 and you're ranked five and you know the country doesn't have a lot of fighters, right? I get that too. But you know, to be number one in your country is respectful. And Sandor Martin, if I'm not mistaken, was ranked number one in Spain. So that says something. And I thought you beat Tio. So that says a lot somewhere too. This card is better than turkey milkshakes. I'm not really gonna go too hard in comparison. My only thing about that the last Crescendo card is that I didn't deem it as the best card of the century, and I really didn't think it was as amazing as people said it was. I thought it was a good card. I just think it was this amazing. Oh my god, this is the greatest boxing card of all time. This is all everything. I didn't think that. You know, I thought it was a good card. I paid for it, so I'm not hating. My money went straight to them. You know, I paid through it on the DAZN app. While I'm paying DAZN, I paid for the pay per view. I paid for a DAZN pay per view. Um, and obviously, if I was at home, I would pay for this tank fight too. But I'm here. I paid money to come to the tank fight. So, um, so I paid. I paid. You know, so so they got my money. But this is just me giving my honest opinion. I just don't think that card was the greatest card of the century. At least it was a good card. It was a fun card. Um, and it probably wasn't going to sell in America anyway. So it was a card that went where it needed to go to make money. So, but this is a fun card too. Personally, it's a card that has fights that need to happen, just like how Turkey's card needed to have fights to get made. I think when it comes to legacy, I think there's more legacy defining fights on that Turkey card. Maybe the one fight, which is the undisputed fight. Can't argue undisputed in a great rematch to determine, a top five pound for pound fighter. Like a hardcore boxing fan, you can't argue that. But um, when it comes to entertainment value, I think you get good in both. If you feel like one is cost way too much and you're not willing to pay, that's on you. You know what I mean? I get paid to do it for a living, so it's hard for me to justify certain things to you guys because it's a write off for me. But at the end of the day, there's certain cards I'll tell you must get, and these are good cards. I wouldn't necessarily like you have to break the bank for these cards. I think they're good cards. Um, as a boxing fan, but neither here or there. I don't think either card is the fight of the century card, and that's all I'm saying. Benavide Senior earned that money. Yeah, see, someone going in defensive senior in the Riot situation. Tank is about to take a lot of issues out on Roach that I don't think he's ready for. I mean, I'm interested, dude. He's going in with a whole new camp. People he's been familiar with when he was younger and yada yada. They came in and out throughout the camp. And Barry's been in Tank's camp many, many times. This isn't the first time Barry's been around. But this is where Barry takes some charge, you know what I mean? So I'm interested to see how this all works out. Tank has had a lot of issues, personally outside of life. After the Colbert, after the loss to Colbert, the project became Benavides. Then he brings in a new trainer before Garcia, who was still a manager. Yeah. Then after the Pitbull fight, he completely gets rid of the trainer who brought him to the top, treating him like Sly's son. And since he was 16, Benavides' wife was really upset. For sure, man. I mean, look, dude, that's why I try not to give my opinion too much on that stuff because it's touchy. Because anytime a trainer and fighter come up together and then they separate, it's ugly, man. And it's like I always hear both sides of the story. Like one I know a lot about that I won't really truly disclose publicly. It's when like Andre Rozier and Danny Jacobs split up. I know all the details about that. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't cute. It wasn't pretty. It was ugly. And so when you learn about that stuff, it's not cool. It's watching like a public family feud, right? Like Earl Spence and Derrick James, right? That wasn't cool, right? And I still think it's like upsetting to see that because these two guys made it to the mountaintop. And unfortunately, at a time of the biggest fight of their career as a trainer and a fighter, and it also came at a loss, that happened. You know what I mean? You'll feel a little bit better more if it was off of a win, but it also came off of a loss. Same with like Caleb Plant and his recent trainer, I mean, his trainer that he came up in Nashville with, So, those things are ugly when a loss happens. You know, especially the biggest payday. You know, when Plant and Canelo fought, that happened too. It's a pattern that happens more than we've seen. We can count. You know, happen more later on. So, um, it's the same thing with the Benavides and Rayo. So, we'll see what happens through that. But I always wanted to see Mikey and Loma back then. Yeah, man, that's a fight that never happened. You know, Mikey went up and saw something and Spence. We saw a payday and a fight to be great. Didn't work in his favor and fought Sandor Martin in Fresno, California, and then took a lot. Well, he fought Jesse Vargas for I think a $7 million payday on the zone. Then he fought Sandor Martin in Fresno. So, and then he retired and bought all the cars that he wanted and more. And I'm happy for him. He got a lot of gray hair now. So makes me feel like did these fight happen like a lot longer than I can remember. So but let's see. What time does it start? All right, so I know this was asked. Gervonta Davis, Frank Mark. All right. Start time. All right. Actually, let me go to Amazon, all right? Because it's on Amazon if you're in the States, all right? So live pay-per-view starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. So the main card starts at Eastern. I think 6 p.m. on YouTube, they're gonna have like two undercard prelims that you'll be able to watch. I want to get there early because I want to watch Scooter Davis, a guy out in the DC area that a lot of people speaking highly of. He trained with Tank in this camp, I believe at Headbanger. So I wanted to see this kid. So I'm gonna go there early. Unfortunately, I don't think he's televised, so I'm gonna have to go watch it and just kind of watch it and get my opinion to you guys later on. So there is a pre-existing awareness of familiar. Oh, okay, I read. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Major says there's a pre-existing with familiarity. Man, I can't read. Sorry, familiarity. Still can't read the word right. With styles and tendencies that can influence the fight. A shared past can eliminate the element of surprise and potentially give Roach a mental edge. Yeah, I think I read your comment earlier, but yeah, just like Devin and Ryan, like I said earlier. People thought Devin was going to dominate Ryan by far, myself included. Wasn't the case. Without the failed drug testing stuff, even in hindsight now, the fight would have been competitive. Right. So, have you heard how many bites the last crescendo had last week? No, I don't think they're going to release it. Do I think it did a lot? Probably not. You know, it probably did somewhat okay. You know what I mean? Usually, if it was a success, it would tell you because if you're sitting on a 2 million, 2 million buy pay per view card, why wouldn't you tell that to the public? Why wouldn't you flaunt that? Why wouldn't you just say, "Hey, this was a pure success. We broke records." So I don't think it was something like that. They're keeping it on the low, you know, and there you go. That's my personal opinion. Fantasy match would have been Mikey versus Tink. No way Tink is above Mikey. Fought all the best at his time, beat mostly all of them. He's also a hot. Yo, that would be a great fight. Mikey Garcia versus Tink. By far on Tink's resume, if Tink fought Mikey, would have been his best opponent. Up to date, I would agree. David Benavidez is going to be undisputed, interim champ of the world. Um, and real quick before I go to round one, a good storyline would have been Little Bro fighting him after Big Bro lost him. Remember, Mikey beat Broner. So Mikey being Broner and then Little Bro comes in to try to bench Big Bro would have been a great storyline. Well, you know what? It already happened. And Mikey beat Robert Garcia, I mean Robert Easter. That story already happened. He beat Big Bro, Broner, and he beat Little Bro, Robert Garcia. But the other Little Bro was Tank. So very interesting. You know what's even interesting about that too? It's like Robert Garcia, the big bro, beat trained Broner, I mean trained Maidana to beat Broner. Then Robert Garcia then later trained his brother to beat Broner. Robert Garcia can knows how to beat Broner. Like that's all I can say. Um, $5 super chat. My boy Attorney Bailey, man, always coming in, showing love. You know, I'm out in New York right now, so just wanted to do like a quick stream before I head out to Barclays and just catch up with you guys and give my opinion on our stuff. So Appreciate it, man. All the super chats have been amazing, lovely. That stuff is all gonna go to the expenses I paid to travel out here. Either if it's something like to pay for a coffee just to kind of be afloat, travel fees, hotel stays. So at the end of the day, all this stuff comes out of my pocket. So at the end of the day, this is nothing that I'm spending to get something personal. This goes back to just cover costs. So at the end of the day, appreciate all you guys, especially Attorney Bailey, who's been rocking with me doing these when I've been doing these streams from the beginning. I really appreciate, and it goes for everyone, even the ones that don't even super chat. It's always hearing Fast Eddie Car Chain, Fast Eddie, Fast Car Eddie, Hitman Hearns, Round One, Pugilism. You know what I mean? Major and Senior Raphael, 32. You know, Arisha, all you guys, Scoopy Spy, like all you guys that taking the time, Boy Pounder, like you know, really appreciate all you guys. And then the many is above, Squid Ink Pasta, you know, the names I keep seeing, Lit Reactions, Langa. Um, Let me see. So I'm gonna read a couple more and then I'm gonna get ready to head out. I gotta charge some of my equipment. Tink should have fought Russell also, ducked it. Yeah, it would have been a competitive fight. It would have been a hard fight for him, honestly. The hand speed would have been tough. Um, and also would have been something similar like Roach and Tank, the DC DMV Baltimore rivalry. So 1,000%. That's just a fight that you never got, man. Sucks. Boxing can really disappoint. Roach fights showcase a comfortable and calculated backward motion, not a panic retreat. Big difference. I got Roach 10 pound TKO. Whoa! You're the first one to come in here, made you say that. What punch, man? I feel like I'm not picking Roach tonight, but I feel like Roach has a really good lead left hook. And if there's going to be any damage, there's going to be a lead left hook or Roach setting them shots like a stab jab to the body, and lead left hook, disguising, combinations like he's going to throw a right uppercut to the body or something. And it comes with a lead left hook. Dude, it's that lead left hook. Roach got a nasty lead left hook. That's all I'm saying. Raphael says, yes, nowadays it does matter. You're number one in your country. In my eyes, the rest of the world has caught up. Because I agree. So we're in the same sentiment on that Sandor Martin. I'm a cat hook. This Tank fight, Tank gonna come out to walk out song La Cucaracha from this sombrero and Barclays. Major says the go excuse after the Tank lost, he didn't have his original camp. Remember, I said this. That's a very interesting part of this fight. He's using Barry and Bugs and Headbangers, so no one really highlights that too much. It's not easy to just completely just change a whole camp and then expect it to be completely successful. It just doesn't always work that way. And even if you win the fight, and even if it's dominant, you're still going to see hiccups. You know, like it's just a normal thing to have a tune-up fight between a trainer change, just so that you can work out the kinks into the next fight. So, haha, worst case scenario, it'll go 12, but I think there's still Rig Tank on the cards. We'll see, man. Anything Roach does tonight that has any success will gain more fans on him. So PBC's on his last play. That's what Ron wants to. I feel like they get that every year. So we'll see, man. I don't know if it's fair to even say that. There's nothing really signaling they're on their last stand when they're clearly making big fights with Turkey. You know what I mean? To say that they're on their last stand, they're in business. Like all that stuff, you know, overseas, what they do, the fighters that send over, that's still part of success. You know what I mean? Fighters going over here and there. Maybe Turkey's paying the bag. The money doesn't all go straight to the fighter. They go to also the promoters, the managers, and all these other guys too. So remember, that big pot of money that's being made in Turkey is also split amongst other people behind the fighter. So Bob Arum is 90 plus years old. Oscar and Floyd are heavy athletes and can possibly outlast Bob Arum. PBC and Golden Boys aren't going anywhere. They're established. Always got a lane in the game. And I agree. You can see people said Golden Boy was on their last leg, and look at them. They got Jose Ramirez fighting Devin Haney, which a lot of people. I just interviewed Barboza last night. If you want to check that interview when I get up, he told me Ramirez gonna beat Devin Haney, and he washed Ramirez that fight. So that's a Golden Boy fighter. Ryan is the favorite to beat Rolly. That's a Golden Boy fighter. Barboza. Ooh, it's a tough fight for Teofimo Lopez, Golden Boy fighter. Golden Boy fighters are kind of doing their thing right now. So Golden Boy fighter Barboza just beat Catterall. You know what I mean? Golden Boy fighter Virgil Ortiz just beat Madrimov. And I remember just thinking like, damn, dude, what's Golden Boy gonna do? Win, rebuild, come back. So I agree, man. These other entities aren't gonna go away. It's just there's just ups and downs and moments. There's hype over here and there. So man, I put money on Broner to beat Mikey and lost. Yeah, 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 yeah. A lot of people did. You know what I mean? You talk that good shit, man. I picked Mikey, but you know what? Broner had a really good last 11 to 12 round. Man, he was beating the shit out of Mikey going to the body. I wish he just let his hands go. Right? He didn't go. Let his hands go. So, all right, I'm gonna speed through these last couple ones. My laptop's about to die. I think I've been on here for what a good when I started the stream, about a good hour and a half. I think that's a good amount of time before I go in the arena. So then he got Earl and got stopped by Mikey and Ranky, all them boys, no Diddy. Golden Boy, PBC carry boxing to the rise of MMA, a new era of social media, the OSU brand to the highest bidder. Facts. Facts. If you can't super chat and want to support, still just let some ads play out. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, purposely have been choosing a lot of these streams to be low ads because I'm still building my stream, right? And I don't really want to just add you guys to death. You know what I mean? Because really, you guys are here supporting me. So I still make revenue from it. Not as much if I put the ads in the lowest possible. So like I said, like it's a building process. When it gets more popping, I got a lot of guests I'm gonna bring on. I just haven't pulled the plug. I mean, I haven't unleashed that, but I'm long overdue too because I got a lot of guys that can do a lot of live guests and stuff. So, but I just purposely just kept it a little low just so that you guys get more time, FaceTime and chat to get to know each other so I can earn your guys' wait time. Because think about it, you guys are in here just rocking with me on your Saturday, let alone if I put through a lot of ads, right? Like some other. Now you're waiting to stay in, and that's time. So I want to be considerate with you guys' time. So that's until I earn it more, and then you guys are willing to rock out and stay through the ads more, then I might turn it up a little bit more. But I'm still wanting to earn your guys' respect, your trust, your viewership. So that's just my philosophy throughout this. So um, I'm just trying to be just transparent, honest with you guys. So I really appreciate you guys just being here, and you guys just being here just helps. So Tank Davis, Roach, watch. Where to watch? It's gonna be on Amazon. Major says it'll be a counter left hook. Okay, so you think Roach has that counter left hook. Gary Antoine Winston is definitely in line. Tank next, keep box. Yeah, yo, anyone who is look watching the card, there's a huge chance for Tank fighting Ryo. There's a huge chance for Tank fighting Gary. There's a huge chance for Tank to fight any of those guys at 140. This is kind of a reason why they're on the card. So Tank beating his ass. That's what's facing. Gervonta will always win. That's respect, man. I think that's a fair assessment for sure, 100%. Think will stop him. He'll probably late round 10. Yeah. Well, Lamont will be done by the punishment. Yeah, I can see that. Ryo Gary, who you got? Poyo Martin, who you got? I favor Ryo and I favor Puello, but they're both like 55-45 kind of fights to me. So not picking one by a landslide. I'm just going off the momentum that Puello beat Gary. That's a great win. Ryo beat Pitbull. That's a good win. It's better than the wins that well, Sander, in my opinion, beat Tio, but you know what I'm saying. In that case, maybe Sander might. Yeah, Sander Puello. Yeah, see that's what I'm saying. 55-45. You got to watch it, man. They're both good fights. Um, Speaking of Barry Hunter, who coached AB Tank waiting on Keyshawn versus scores like waiting on Tank and AB fighting four chance and 135 and Tank gets the crown and choose the order. Um, yeah, I mean they're not really gonna fight, and I know Tank knows that too. So Tank Davis Roach live what time? 8 o'clock Eastern will be the main card, so probably like 11 or 12. Tank's fighting another WA 135 champ for the third time. Don't make no sense. Well, really, Ron, just my personal opinion. Tank's not really like a big guy. He weighed in at 133. It just lets me know he's kind of like a 130 pounder, really. He's a 130 pounder that doesn't really need, who's not forced to make his fighting weight. So he just shows a weight class that he's comfortable making weight, but he's still smaller than that weight class. 135 is his comfortable weight where everyone's bigger than him, but he doesn't really have to kill himself. I feel like 130 he has to kill himself to a certain degree, not because he's a weight boy at 130, but it's just like making weight's a pain in the ass. So every time there's a weigh-in now at 135, he looks so comfortable and so refreshed, and he don't even make the weight. I mean, he don't even really like, he comes in just like right under or right on it. So yeah, play 100%. Yeah. Um, you're from Kenya, 8 p.m. Eastern. Roberts Garrett's 50-50 toss up. Yeah, for sure. Obviously, PBC's fate, in my opinion, Turkey's innovative, relevant, making fight PBC following the same script. We'll see, man. We'll see. I'm curious on how long this stuff lasts for. So, um, time will only tell. He's throwing a lot of money. That's what you have to do in entering boxing. So, but I don't feel like just because someone's coming in here and making certain things, he has to be consistent with it. You know, I don't know if Turkey's in the business of like building the next kind of guys. He's kind of taking on these guys, forcing the fight quickly. So we'll see, man. We gotta see how Turkey's plan plays out. But I am happy that certain fights are getting made. And it's interesting fashion. I've never covered a fight outside of Madison Square Garden. I mean, on Times Square. Like, weird, but cool. So I appreciate that. So what up, Nej? I'm not the specific man from Fight Hype. I'm one of the guys behind Fight Hype. The owner is Ben Thompson. I'm one of the guys that do a lot of the coverage for some time now on the platform. So that allows me to um, do some live streams whenever I feel like it. So shout out to Ben Thompson. But to clarify, I'm one of the faces, but I'm not the man behind it. So, all right, good chatting up with you, man. I appreciate it. Always, man. So I know there's a couple more. My laptop's about to die. It's like on 3%. So I have to cut the stream because if not, the stream's gonna randomly be up. So appreciate everybody who's in here. I know there's a couple more in here. What do you think about anyone Tank? Terrible fight. There's no way Tank goes down. I mean, the weight classes, man, it's just too ridiculous. I just don't know what happened. It's Walker fighting Wood right now. Check. I'm not watching any of the UK stuff right now. I'm just in New York. So, but awesome. Look, I appreciate you guys. I gotta cut the stream. I got 2% now. I gotta cut it off, or it's gonna cut off on me, and I'm gonna have issues trying to cut the stream. So please, guys, stay locked in. We're gonna have a whole bunch of content. I'll be at the fight, post conference, live reactions. I might even go live again after the fight if you guys want to chat about it. So just stay locked in here on Fight Hype. Um, yeah. Last prediction, I got tanked by late stoppage, maybe like a 8 through 10 ish. Don't have a specific round.